Have you ever wondered how much gaming companies could push our wallets before we finally say, enough is enough? Well, Nintendo might just be testing that boundary with its upcoming Switch 2 console. Whispers and leaks have erupted into outright claims about eye-watering game prices, controversial accessory costs, and a system reveal that's rocked the fanbase. But that's not the whole story. Beneath the shiny new hardware and fancy feature set, there's an even bigger question. Is Nintendo's next move going to reshape the industry? Or is it just a risky gamble that leaves fans footing the bill? Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover may change how you look at the future of gaming entirely. Welcome to Gamer Service Announcement. GSA, the more you know. Click that subscribe button and hit on the alert button to get notified about new videos for you. Nintendo's announcement for the Switch 2 took the community by storm, and not just because it's a sequel to one of the most beloved hybrid consoles. Right away, fans noticed that the standard edition would launch at $449.99, while a special bundle packaged with the brand new Mario Kart World would cost $499.99. At first glance, $450 for next-gen hardware might not sound outrageous in an era where consoles can soar over $500. After all, the original Switch made its debut at $299.99 back in 2017, and prices have climbed across the industry since then. But the moment these figures hit the internet, people began asking, is the Switch 2 powerful enough to justify such a jump? The rumors swirling around this new system highlight significant hardware improvements. We're talking faster load times, a more robust graphics chip, and a rumored refresh rate that rivals some handheld PCs on the market. From everything we've seen and heard, this console aims to provide a premium gaming experience that the original Switch simply couldn't match in terms of pure performance. Yet, there's a hitch. These rumored specs come with a wave of pricing controversies that keep piling up. Sure, the console's base price might be arguable, but gamers can't help feeling uneasy about the whole package, especially once we step into the realm of first-party game prices, and that's where things get really heated. You might be saying, but wait, the Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World is under $500, so how is that a big deal? Well, that bundle might not be the steal it first appears. Nintendo's official statement clarifies that the $499.99 cost includes the game at a special discount. The standard console is $449.99 by itself. So, if you do the math, it implies they're pricing Mario Kart World at $50 in the bundle. That sounds fantastic, right? Except it leads us straight into the biggest debate. Standalone copies of Mario Kart World hitting store shelves for a shocking $79.99. But that's not all we've learned. When a new console launches, accessories often follow. This time, Nintendo's hitting the ground running with a wide array of add-ons. The official Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller is set at $79.99. It features everything the original Switch Pro controller offered: motion controls, HD Rumble, updated to HD Rumble 2, Amiibo support, and more, plus new features like a built-in headphone jack and a dedicated in-game chat button. Is $79.99 for a top-tier controller ridiculous these days? Not necessarily, given that premium controllers from other companies also hover around $70 to $80. However, the question remains whether these incremental tweaks are worth the premium for folks who already own multiple controllers. Things get a bit pricier with Joy-Con 2, an updated Joy-Con set that retails for $89.99. $10 more than the previous generation. The additions include refined motion sensors, improved rumble, and an integrated chat function. For Nintendo loyalists who frequently use Joy-Cons, it might be a welcome upgrade. Still, that $90 price tag is heavy compared to what many gamers are accustomed to. Then you have the camera and dock situation. A Nintendo-made USB-C webcam for $50, specifically designed for the Switch 2, plus a separate official dock at $110 if you want an additional docking station in another room. On the surface, these prices might not seem off base if you look at the cost of third-party devices. High-quality webcams routinely sell for $40 to $100, and specialized hardware can be pricier. The new dock does presumably pack advanced technology to support the Switch 2's higher performance. But for those who simply want a second location subscription to set up the console, $110 might feel steep. Time will tell if third-party manufacturers step up with cheaper docking solutions. And speaking of third-party involvement, we can't skip the possible domino effect that Nintendo's decisions might trigger in the broader gaming market. And that's where the real speculation begins. In addition to climbing prices for games and accessories, Nintendo's mention of new game card requirements has fueled more speculation. A few official statements hinted that some physical cartridges for the Switch 2 would need an additional download right out of the box. For longtime collectors who love having full games on cartridges, that's frustrating. It mirrors a trend seen on the first Switch. If a title exceeded the cartridge's capacity, players would have to download the remainder of the data before starting. This time, though, it appears to be built into the system's design philosophy, possibly because game file sizes are getting larger, and Nintendo wants to keep manufacturing costs in check. Digital distribution could become more prominent if developers, both first and third party, want to avoid the logistical headache of big cartridges. After all, the Switch 2 is rumored to push bigger, more graphically intense experiences. The question is whether gamers will embrace a mostly digital future, especially when the cost of each digital title might hover around $70 to $80. It's not just a question of pricing, but also storage. If the Switch 2 ships with limited internal space, like its predecessor, players might have to invest in large micro SD cards right away. For some, going digital is convenient. No bulky cartridges, no misplacing game cases, and near-instant switching from one title to another. For others, physical media remains an important part of gaming culture, from collecting box art to ensuring you can still play decades later without relying on servers. This tension between digital convenience and physical nostalgia has always existed, but with prices creeping upward, many fans want more control over how they buy and store their games. But that wasn't everything creeping into the conversation. A bigger picture was forming, and it was about how the community itself is reacting, and whether Nintendo is prepared to handle the backlash. When news about the Switch 2 and its accessories first dropped, social media and gaming forums lit up like wildfire. It wasn't just anger, it was a mixture of genuine excitement, because Nintendo is finally stepping up with higher specs, and utter disbelief over some price tags. After all, Mario Kart World is practically guaranteed to be a bestseller. If the game will cost $80 alone, that signals a massive leap from the typical $60 norm, which even non-Nintendo titles followed for years. Meanwhile, plenty of gamers are on the fence, saying they'll wait for reviews or discounts. But it's well known that Nintendo rarely lowers the cost of its first-party games, especially blockbuster franchises. The black market of resellers and scalpers, too, has become a hot topic, with many folks fearing that the new console and its big-name titles will be snapped up in bulk and resold at even steeper prices. With official costs already seeming high, imagine if scalpers attempt to push them even further. On the flip side, some fans argue that the Switch 2 price hike isn't surprising. With inflation, rising development costs, and bigger ambitions for new games, maybe $450 for the console is simply the new standard. To them, the question is not if the console is too expensive, but whether the system's quality and longevity will justify the initial output of cash. If a console is well built and offers years of stellar games, some people will pay almost any amount to have the latest and greatest. But that wasn't the only factor sparking debate. People started looking at how these price moves could reflect a shift across the entire gaming industry. Industry insiders have been speculating that a major leap in baseline game prices could be looming on the horizon. While 70 titles have become more common, 80 has generally been reserved for special editions or collector's sets. If Nintendo, known for its family-friendly image and somewhat traditional pricing, is comfortable selling a flagship title at $80, other publishers might decide to follow suit. The logic is simple. If a franchise as big as Mario Kart can make that price stick, then AAA titles from other studios, be they shooters, RPGs, or open-world epics, could nudge their own standard retail price upward. Beyond game pricing, there's also a concern that hardware add-ons might inch up too. If the new controllers are $80 or $90, could we see more specialized Joy-Con variations or enhanced Pro controllers hitting $100? The pattern is already evident in how Microsoft and Sony sell premium Elite or DualSense Edge controllers at higher rates. Gaming may soon become an even more expensive hobby than it already is. The difference is that Nintendo once prided itself on user-friendly, family-oriented pricing. This new shift might mark the end of that perception. There's also talk that third-party developers could leverage the Switch 2's improved specs to bring bigger, more graphically demanding titles onto a Nintendo platform. If that happens, they might see an opportunity to align their pricing with next-gen consoles on the market. maybe even surpassing those if Nintendo's $80 experiment proves successful. We're looking at a potential domino effect that could trickle down to every corner of the gaming ecosystem, from indie collaborations to major AAA blockbusters. But that wasn't all the Switch 2 had to reveal. There were also glimpses of the user interface, glimpses that had fans asking a simple question: is this really next gen or more of the same with a new coat of paint? Leaked images and official snippets of the Switch 2's user interface show a layout that looks remarkably like the original Switch home screen. You still have those neat rows of game icons front and center, a shop button, news access, and a menu for screenshots and videos. On one hand, this consistency might be a good thing. People are used to the Switch's clean, minimal menu system, and jumping into the next console without a steep learning curve can be comforting. On the other hand, critics argue that if Nintendo wants to charge premium prices, the UI should reflect a bigger leap forward. Naturally, there are still some unknown icons in the corners, hinting at new apps or features we haven't fully seen yet. Users speculate about built-in voice chat that actually works, unlike the mobile app fiasco on the first Switch, or perhaps robust online communities reminiscent of Miiverse. Others hope for better organization, like being able to create folders or customize the look of the home screen more extensively. If Nintendo decides to keep everything mostly the same, some might feel they're paying more for an experience that isn't significantly different from the first Switch outside of raw performance boosts. Still, many fans appreciate that Nintendo software remains quick to load and easy to navigate. The new system might offer behind-the-scenes improvements, like faster menu transitions, better eShop browsing, or more integrated social features, without changing the familiar look. Until Nintendo unveils more official details, it's mostly speculation. Yet the big question remains: will these incremental improvements and a somewhat familiar interface stand up against the backlash over pricey hardware and even pricier games? The Nintendo Switch 2 has stirred up the gaming world in a way few consoles can. It promises next-level performance in a beloved hybrid format, and some of its new features look genuinely exciting. Yet for all the hype, skepticism looms like a dark cloud. $449.99 for the base console, $499.99 with Mario Kart World, Pro controllers at $79.99, Joy-Cons at $89.99, and the most shocking of all, Mario Kart World at $79.99 if you buy it alone. Some fans remain unfazed, insisting that a truly next-gen handheld from Nintendo is worth every penny. Others are furious, feeling like Nintendo is leveraging its loyal fanbase to push boundaries on what people will pay. What remains is an open question that only time can answer. Will the market embrace these higher game prices and accessories, or will there be a wave of pushback strong enough to force Nintendo to reconsider? There's also the ripple effect to consider. If Nintendo's new strategy works, it could set a precedent for other publishers and platform holders to hike prices as well, forever altering how we invest in our favorite pastime. And if the prices are too steep, will that hamper the Switch 2's potential to repeat the massive success of its predecessor? Nintendo has taken risks before, some of which paid off handsomely. The original Switch concept, a portable console you can dock to your TV, was risky in itself, but became a phenomenon. Now, the company seems ready to test the waters again, only this time with our wallets. Whatever happens next, there's one thing we can't deny: the Switch 2 will make waves, and it's going to be fascinating to watch how this story unfolds. So, where do you stand? Are you outraged by the thought of shelling out $80 for a single game? Or does the promise of next-gen Nintendo magic make it all worth it? Perhaps the console's power, library of titles, and potential longevity will balance out the higher asking price over time. Or maybe this is the final straw for gamers who were already tired of incremental price hikes. One thing's certain: Nintendo has the gaming world's full attention, and whether this moment becomes a triumphant step forward or a stumble into controversy depends on how we, as a community, respond. Thanks for tuning in and exploring all these details with me. If you found this discussion eye-opening, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives on the biggest reveals, the most controversial topics, and everything else rocking the gaming scene. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep an eye on what's happening behind those cheerful Nintendo smiles, because sometimes the real shock lies just beneath the surface. If you like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that alert button for more awesome videos. Gamer Service announcement: the more you know.